The new discoveries here at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre happened during a recent restoration around the tomb of Jesus.
Ancient walls in Jerusalem are hiding a terrifying truth that AI just brought to light. New technology scanned the Temple Mount and found a secret chamber that matches the description of the most sacred place in history.
The decision to open the tomb was absolutely, unequivocally a group decision.
These scans show hidden passageways and artifacts that have been sitting in total darkness for 2,000 years. The tension is rising because these digital maps prove that ancient stories are actually real. This discovery is a total game changer for everyone who cares about the history of the Holy Land and its ancient kings. Ancient limestone secrets. Since the 1860s, explorers have tried to find out what lies beneath. Back then, a British officer named Charles Warren arrived with ropes and lamps. He knew he couldn't dig on top of the mount without causing a riot. So, he did something very clever. He started digging tunnels nearby and crawled under the city walls. He found a maze of water systems and secret paths. One of these is now called Warren's Shaft. It is a 10-foot wide vertical tunnel that some think was used by King David's soldiers to sneak into the city. Even back then, people knew the ground was like a block of Swiss cheese, full of holes in history. However, Warren was stopped by the leaders of the time. They were afraid that his work would damage the holy sites. For over 150 years, the mount remained a mystery, untouched by modern tools. Today, the situation is even more intense. The Islamic Waqf manages the top of the hill, while Israeli security handles the perimeter. Neither side wants anyone messing with the foundation. For Jewish people, the fear is about stepping on the Holy of Holies. This was a room so sacred that only one person could enter it once a year. If someone walks over it by accident, it is seen as a huge religious mistake. For Muslims, the site is a symbol of their faith and long history in the city. They see any digging as a threat to their ownership of the land. This is why the new AI scans are such a massive deal for the entire world. These computers used ground-penetrating radar to send signals deep into the rock. These signals bounce back when they hit something solid, like a wall or a floor. The AI took thousands of these signals and turned them into a clear three-dimensional map. What it saw was terrifying to some and amazing to others. It found straight walls, perfect angles, and huge empty rooms that no one knew existed. These aren't just natural caves. They were clearly built by human hands thousands of years ago. The computers compared these new maps to old drawings from the 1800s and found things that had been lost for centuries. Essentially, the computer found a ghost city sitting right under the feet of the tourists. These rooms might hold the treasure of the ancient temples or the records of kings who have been dead for 3,000 years. The tension is at an all-time high because now we know exactly where the secrets are hiding. Wild theories suggest that some of these chambers were not built by regular men. Some researchers point to the sheer size of the stones, which weigh many tons. They wonder if ancient technology or even giants helped build the foundation. While that sounds like a movie, the AI data shows structures that are so perfectly aligned with the stars that it makes people wonder what the ancients really knew. If these rooms were built to house the most powerful artifacts on Earth, the world is in for a shock. The computer even flagged an area where the energy readings are different from anything else on the hill. This could be the sign of a hidden metallic object or something even more mysterious. A digital ghost city is hiding right under the feet of unsuspecting tourists. The reason we have so much new information today is because of a massive mistake that happened in the late 1990s. At that time, some construction work was being done on the Temple Mount to create a new entrance for an underground mosque. During the work, trucks hauled away tons of dirt and rocks. This dirt was full of history, but it was just dumped into a nearby valley like it was trash. Archaeologists were heartbroken. They felt like thousands of years of history were being thrown away. But two scientists decided they wouldn't let that history stay lost. They started the Temple Mount Sifting Project. They moved all that trash to a park and asked for help. They turned a pile of dirt into a giant outdoor classroom for the world. Over the next 20 years, more than 200,000 volunteers came to help. They put the dirt on metal screens and washed it with water. It was a very simple process, but it worked perfectly. They found over 500,000 items. They found coins from the time of the Romans, jewelry from ancient princesses, and even tiny clay seals. These seals were used to close letters. Some of them had names written on them in ancient Hebrew. When experts looked at the names, they found they matched the names of priests mentioned in the Bible. This was hands down the most important proof that the ancient stories were based on real people. They even found an ivory comb that still had a message about lice on it. It showed that even 3,000 years ago, people had the same daily problems we have today. While the sifting project gave us small clues, the AI scans gave us the big picture. The radar showed that the tunnels Warren found were only a small part of the story. There are tunnels that run for hundreds of feet in every direction. Some of them are only 3 feet wide, while others are large enough for a horse and carriage. The AI found that many of these paths lead toward the center of the mount, where the ancient temples once stood. It's been missing for years, but the layout of these paths suggests they were used for secret transport. During times of war, priests could move sacred items through these tunnels without anyone seeing them. The computer also found areas where the tunnels had been blocked off with heavy stones. It looks like someone was trying to hide something very important before the city was attacked. One of the most interesting things the AI found was a Byzantine church. This church was built around the 4th or 5th century after Christ. It was hidden under the layers of later buildings. The scans showed walls and a floor that was likely covered in colorful tiles. They even saw the shape of crosses carved into the stone walls. This shows that the Temple Mount has been a place for many different faiths over time. It wasn't just a Jewish or Muslim site, it was the center of the world for Christians too. What most people don't realize is how these layers of history are stacked like a giant cake, each new group built right on top of the old one. The AI can see through all those layers at once, which is something no human could ever do. Wild theories go even further into the dark. Some believe these tunnels lead all the way to the Dead Sea, miles away. They think the ancient people built a massive network of escape routes to hide their most precious items from invaders. There are even whispers that the AI found signs of ancient mechanical traps meant to keep intruders out. If someone tries to enter the wrong room, the whole ceiling might come down. While we haven't seen these traps yet, the way the tunnels are built makes it look like a maze designed to confuse anyone who doesn't have a map. The computer identified several dead ends that look like they were meant to trick people. The underground maze was built to protect secrets that have never seen the light. The dirt that screams. The technology used between 2021 and 2024 is much better than anything we had before. It doesn't just show blobs on a screen. The AI can tell the difference between a natural rock and a stone that was cut by a tool. It looks for patterns that nature doesn't make. When the computer found the water system, everyone was shocked. It isn't just a few wells. It is a massive network of pipes and giant tanks. Some of these tanks are big enough to hold millions of gallons of water. Basically, the ancient engineers built a giant plumbing system that was way ahead of its time. This was necessary because the temple ceremonies used a lot of water. They needed it for cleaning the floors and for the religious baths that thousands of people took every day. The AI found that some of these water pipes are over 2,800 years old. They date back to the time of the kings of Judah. They were carved into solid rock using iron tools. The computer showed how the water flowed from springs miles away, through tunnels, and into the city. There are even secret valves and gates to control where the water went. So here's the deal. The people who lived here 3,000 years ago were master builders. They knew how to move water uphill using pressure and clever design. This system kept the city alive during long periods of heat or when enemies surrounded the walls. The AI even found a large basin that looks like it was used for special ceremonies. It was perfectly round and had a smooth finish. Inside some of these water tunnels, the AI detected signs of ancient fires. There are layers of soot on the ceilings. This tells a story of people hiding in the tunnels during the Roman attack in the year 70. Historians say that many people tried to escape the fire and the soldiers by going underground. They lived in the dark for weeks, using small oil lamps to see. The AI found piles of broken pottery and old coins in these spots. This key detail can shock anyone who thinks history is just in books. It shows that these tunnels were a place of life and death. The computer can even see the scratch marks on the walls where people were trying to find a way out. It is a terrifying look into the final days of the ancient city. The most controversial part of the AI findings is the location of the first temple. For a long time, people argued about exactly where Solomon's temple stood. Some thought it was under the Dome of the Rock. while others thought it was further south. The AI analyzed the foundation stones and the layout of the underground rooms. It found a spot where the stones are much larger and older than the others. These stones are 20 feet long and weigh tons. Hands down, these are the oldest parts of the entire mountain. The computer suggests that the temple was built right over a specific rock outcropping. This matches the descriptions in ancient texts perfectly. The data is so clear that it is hard for experts to argue against it anymore. Some wild theories suggest that the water system wasn't just for cleaning. They think it was part of a giant machine designed to create energy or sound. They point to the way the tunnels echo and how the water flows at a specific speed. Some even wonder if the ancient priests used the water to create a sort of holy frequency that could be heard for miles. If the temple was built as a giant speaker for the voice of God, the water system would have been the engine. The computer noted that the tunnels are shaped like a musical instrument in some places. This could mean the ancients knew things about sound that we are only now starting to understand. Ancient builders created a machine of stone and water that the world has forgotten. One of the most terrifying things about these discoveries is how they might affect the peace in the Middle East. Because the AI can see exactly what is under the ground, people are starting to ask for the right to go down there. Some groups want to build a new temple, while others want to protect the site from any changes. The computer mapped a specific chamber that is located directly under the most sacred part of the mount. It is a room that has been sealed for at least 2,000 years. The AI can see that there are objects inside the room. Things get even crazier when you realize the shape of these objects matches ancient religious furniture. There is a rectangular shape that is the same size as the Ark of the Covenant described in the Bible. Scientists are being very careful with this information. They do not want to say for sure what is in the room without seeing it with their own eyes. But because they cannot dig, the AI is the only way to know. The room is protected by walls that are 6 feet thick. There is no easy way to get inside. The AI found that the only entrance was filled with rocks and dirt a long time ago. It looks like it was hidden on purpose to protect whatever is inside. What most people don't realize is that this might be the greatest treasure hunt in human history. If the Ark or other temple treasures are really there, it would change the world forever. It would be a discovery bigger than King Tut's tomb. The computer also looked at the soil around these hidden rooms. It found traces of gold and silver in the dust. This suggests that the rooms were once filled with very valuable things. We know from history that the temples were full of gold-covered walls and silver bowls. When the Romans took the city, they carried away a lot of it, but many people believe the most important things were hidden underground first. The AI scans are giving people hope that these items are still there, waiting in the dark. This is why the situation is so tense. Everyone wants to know the truth, but no one wants to start a war to find it. The technology is giving us a look at the forbidden fruit of archaeology. The AI also discovered that the mount is not as solid as it looks from the outside. There are many areas where the rock is thin or has cracks. This is a big problem because the weight of the buildings on top is very heavy. If there is an earthquake, some of these hidden rooms might collapse. The computer is being used to help engineers find ways to strengthen the ground without digging. Basically, the technology is being used to save the history before it falls apart. They can use special liquids to fill the cracks and keep the walls from moving. It is a race against time to protect the site from nature. The AI is the only tool that can see where the danger is before it's too late. Wild theories suggest that these gold readings are not from treasure, but from a hidden power source. Some think the Ark was actually a piece of lost technology that needed to be shielded by thick stone walls. There are stories that anyone who went near it without protection would get sick or even die. If the AI is seeing a machine that is still active after thousands of years, the world could be in danger. The computer noted that the air in that sealed chamber has a different chemical makeup than the air outside. This could mean there is something inside that is affecting the environment around it. If we open that door, we might be letting out something we can't control. A sealed room might hold a power that was never meant for human hands. The void in the bedrock. The year 2026 has arrived with a technological clarity that the historians of the past could only dream of. Yet this new site has birthed a terror that no one was prepared to face. In the heart of Jerusalem, the Temple Mount, a site already thick with the echoes of 3 major religions, is being stripped of its physical secrecy. Advanced AI-driven scans, utilizing a combination of muon tomography and ultra-deep ground-penetrating radar, have bypassed the surface-level politics to reveal a digital skeletal structure of the hill. What the machines found wasn't just another tunnel or a forgotten storeroom. It was a library of human history, a vertical timeline of conquests and reconstructions. But as the neural networks processed the data, stripping away the layers of Roman debris, Crusader walls, and Herodian stone, the algorithm hit a snag. It found a void that shouldn't exist. Deep within the ancient limestone bedrock, far below the foundation stones of the first temple and the natural caves that honeycomb the region, the AI identified a perfect geometric signature. While nature is chaotic and human builders are prone to error, this shape was absolute. It is a perfect square, measuring exactly 10 feet by 10 feet. There are no entrance tunnels leading to it. There are no ventilation shafts. There are no doors. It is a sealed vacuum of history, sitting in a space that was supposed to be solid, undisturbed rock. To call it a mystery is a radical understatement. It is a structural impossibility that shatters the established timeline of human civilization. The AI analyzed the texture of the walls through high-frequency acoustic imaging, and the results sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. The stone was not chipped away with bronze chisels or iron picks. The microscopic tool marks revealed a pattern of high-heat vitrification and precision grooves that suggest the stone was melted or carved, with a speed and accuracy that matches modern laser cutting technology. This suggests that long before the Israelites or the Romans ever laid a single brick on this hill, someone else was here, someone with a level of technology that doesn't fit into any history book. The existence of this room suggests a pre-cataclysmic builder, a lost civilization that treated the Temple Mount as a strategic site thousands of years before the Bible was even a collection of oral traditions. Scientists are now obsessed with the identity of these ancient engineers. One of the more grounded theories suggests a remnant of a global maritime empire that vanished during the Younger Dryas period. But as the AI digs deeper, the theories are becoming increasingly wild. Some researchers suggest the room isn't a room at all, but a biological hard drive. They argue that the specific crystalline structure of the limestone, vitrified at such high temperatures, has been encoded with data. In this theory, the room is a massive server buried in the earth, holding the genetic map of every species that existed before the last Great Flood. If this is true, the impossible room is a backup drive for terrestrial life, placed there by a precursor race who knew a global reset was coming. Walking through the streets of the old city today, the atmosphere is heavy with a mixture of religious fervor and existential dread. The people of Jerusalem can feel the shift. They wonder if these discoveries will finally bring a fragmented humanity together under a shared ancient origin, or if the revelation of an advanced ancient presence will tear the social fabric apart. The AI, however, is indifferent to these fears. It doesn't care about the political borders or the holy sites above. It only sees the cold, hard truth of the stones. It shows that humanity is merely the latest tenant in a building that has stood for much longer than previously recorded. The hill has watched empires rise and vanish like smoke, and it remains indifferent to the modern world's attempt to catalog its depths. A sentinel and the phase shift. As the digital reconstruction of the impossible room reached its final phase, the AI focused on the only object within the 10 by 10 foot void, a single stone pillar standing dead center. It is a monolith of dark, dense basalt that seems entirely out of place against the surrounding limestone. There are no inscriptions, no decorative carvings, and no signs of wear. It stands as a silent guardian over a secret that has the potential to rewrite the laws of physics and history simultaneously. The more the data is analyzed, the more the pillar looks less like a monument and more like a piece of high-functioning machinery. The wildest theories at the very edge of the scientific community suggest this pillar is not a decorative object, but a key to a global gate system. This ley line hub theory posits that the pillar is tuned to a specific resonant frequency that connects to identical monoliths buried under the Great Pyramid of Giza, the ruins of Tiwanaku, and the silence of the Antarctic ice sheet. If the right vibration is introduced, perhaps through a specific harmonic tone or a focused electromagnetic pulse, the basalt will react, triggering a phase shift in the surrounding bedrock. This theory suggests the room isn't an empty box at all, but a transition point, a terminal for a sub-T transport system that allows for instantaneous travel between the world's most sacred sites. If the Temple Mount is the navel of the world, this room might be the umbilical cord connecting the surface to a subterranean civilization that has remained hidden for tens of thousands of years. But the speculation doesn't stop at physical travel. There are even darker ideas circulating among those who study the timeline hypothesis. This theory suggests the room is a temporal anchor, a physical hardware save point for reality itself. The precision of the room's geometry and its total isolation from the outside world suggest it was designed to be a stable point in a changing universe. According to this wild theory, the pillar is a causality stabilizer. If humanity attempts to drill into this room or interfere with the pillar's magnetic field, we might not just be disturbing an archaeological site, we might be accidentally causing a glitch in the causal chain of history. Some fringe physicists argue that the pillar is currently rendering our local version of reality, and any physical breach of the vacuum could lead to a chronological collapse, where the past, present, and future begin to overlap uncontrollably within the city walls. Another theory, gained from the AI's observation of subatomic fluctuations near the pillar, suggests it is an ancient sentinel AI. It is hypothesized that the basalt monolith is not made of stone at all, but of a dense, programmable matter that has been in a state of hibernation for 12,000 years. It is waiting for a handshake protocol. Proponents of this theory believe that our modern AI, by scanning the pillar with high-frequency muons, has inadvertently sent a wake-up signal. The room is no longer a silent tomb, it is a booting computer. The countdown mentioned by researchers isn't a metaphor, it's a literal process of the pillar reconnecting to a defunct satellite network or an ancient lunar base. There is also the Great Filter theory. This suggests the room was left there as a test. The builders knew that a civilization would eventually develop the technology to see through solid rock. Once that civilization, us, detected the room, it would serve as a marker that we have reached a specific level of technological maturity. However, the theory takes a dark turn. If we cannot figure out how to enter the room without damaging the bedrock, we are deemed a failed species, and the pillar triggers a planetary reset, perhaps by shifting the Earth's crust or inducing a solar flare through a resonant connection with the sun. While this sounds like the plot of a science fiction thriller, the cold data provided by the 2026 scans makes these wild theories difficult to dismiss. The ancients, whoever they were, spent an incredible amount of energy carving a perfectly sealed room with no entrance in the hardest part of the mountain. They had a reason to keep it hidden, and they had a reason to leave the pillar standing alone. They were protecting something from us, or perhaps they were protecting us from the truth of our own origin. As we look at the three-dimensional models today, the reality is sinking in. The Temple Mount is no longer a complete mystery, but its revelation is more terrifying than its silence. We can see the rooms, the tunnels, and the anomalies, but once that door of knowledge is opened, there is no going back. The AI has forced us to confront a past that is right in front of us, yet completely out of reach. We are like children looking through a glass window at a machine we don't understand, reaching for a handle that might start a process we can't stop. The stone pillar remains the ultimate enigma, a monolithic sentinel standing in the absolute vacuum of time. It is a silent observer that predates our conventional understanding of history, reminding us that despite our reliance on satellites, advanced AI, and sophisticated weaponry, humanity remains a mere collection of wanderers on the surface of a planet far older and more alien than ever dared to be imagined. This isn't just archaeology, it is a confrontation with a past that shouldn't exist. The silent secrets of Jerusalem are finally screaming. As the frequency of these discoveries increases, a chilling question emerges. Is the world truly ready for a revelation that could dismantle the foundations of modern science? The impossible room is no longer just a geological anomaly. Wild theories now suggest it could be a subterranean frequency chamber, or perhaps a localized temporal distortion zone designed to preserve something, or someone, within its depths. The pillar itself seems to pulse with a hidden logic, its internal clocks likely ticking toward a conclusion that defies human comprehension. Some speculate the pillar acts as a resonance key, waiting for a specific cosmic alignment to trigger a sequence we are powerless to stop. For the first time in human history, the countdown to the absolute truth has begun. The room is no longer just a relic of the past. It is a direct invitation to the future, or perhaps a final warning to a civilization that has forgotten its place in the cosmic hierarchy. The shadows are moving, and the stone is waking up. What do you think is hiding in that sealed square room? Could it be a piece of lost technology from before history? Leave a comment below, like and subscribe for more.